What's up, guys? This week we look back at that glorious, magical, fantastic, definitely best football we've ever played result against Bittersoda United FC. And we talk about what we think Atlanta United are going to do with all of these injuries piling up in a big match against LAFC this weekend. All that and more, coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. Also guys, we need help sharing our videos. Please share it on as many platforms as possible. This is how we can grow and how we can grow this community.
Yeah, and I mean, it's how we can get better as well. The more videos we make, the more people we reach, the more input and feedback we get from you guys, the fans. Because this is Atlanta United Fan TV. It's about our opinions as fans and what we think about our club. So please get involved, share like AJ said, and we love to keep making videos, and we'll see you in the future as well.
So guys, let's get right into that Minnesota United match from the weekend. We pulled out a gritty win against a team that were up against our 10 men. Wow, I mean, we did everything we could defensively to do, to pull it out. That's exactly what we had to do. And with an unfortunate LGP red, it's we played our hearts out essentially. But that first yellow, let's talk through it. I mean, LGP, he was pretty much he was already going to be beat. The guy was in on goal, and what could we do? He made a professional foul, as Tata Martino said.
Yeah, that's the definition of professional foul. You know you have to take it. I thought he could have been sent off for that one. To be perfectly honest, he was the last man. If he's in the box, he's gone, 100%.
For sure.
Which is weird. Like if he's in the box, it's the triple punishment. It's penalty, red card, that whole thing, and the team's down a man. Like it's for sure. Which is crazy that it's outside of the box. It's yellow, but like.
Because it had shades of like the Chicago Fire match where, yeah, man, we got a Chicago Fire player sent off through Josef being on goal. It was pretty much a very similar situation where he was pulled down just right outside of the box. So that person was sent off. I could see LGP being sent off there. So at that point, he was probably a walking red card.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the beginning of that match, you were an absolute liability when it came to the team's shape. There was no shape. I mean, how the team was, there were just players popping up in positions all over the place. They were getting absolutely drug around by Minnesota. Like, it didn't look good at any point in time. And it was in the back of my head, I was like, there's no way that they're finishing this match, without giving up a goal, which somehow they didn't. But B, with 11 men. I was like, someone's going to make another tackle. LGP's not going to say he's not smart enough, but like
he can be reckless at times.
He loves a good tackle. Right.
He's very aggressive. And the player that kind of drew a bunch of those fouls, Sam Nicholson, he eventually got LGP sent off on a play on the sidelines that is a little bit questionable. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder-ish. But, I mean, at that point, he had accumulated too many fouls, and whether it was out of bounds already or not, it's what it is. I mean,
he could have been sent off before that.
Exactly.
I mean, he had made a couple more fouls and tackles in there. It's just like he was asking for it. He should have known better. So, yeah, maybe the second yellow that he got wasn't maybe the one that should have had him sent off. But he was going to get sent off. Like, it was going to happen.
The question for me is, was it him being on the right side of that three-man back line where he was a little unaccustomed to, where maybe I feel like he should have played maybe the central part of that three-man back line. That probably made more sense to me. He just looked very uncomfortable from the get-go. And to accommodate a McCann on the left, that's where I think the whole thing just looked misshapen, and the players didn't know where they had to be.
I think it was definitely a case of square pegs and round holes. I mean, but that's something we've been talking about for a while, is the complete lack of depth at the back. I mean, I think depending on the result this weekend, you're going to see a lot more people clamoring to be like, hey, sign a flipping center back before the window closes next month, because goodness knows the depth it's not there. I mean, we'll get into our lineups later, but I mean, it was definitely a case of, all right, this is who we have. Now, how do we figure out where to put them on the field to get 11 players that can actually play the positions that they'll be put in? Right. So they're in a very, very, you know, peculiar spot right now when it comes to that. And I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will definitely see. Now, in terms of how Minnesota failed to capitalize on a situation that was ripe for the taking for them.
You know, the real reason they lost because they had Tyron Mears in their team.
That's probably why, yeah. Exactly. No, I mean, you know, he's the guy who's taking their crosses. He's the guy who's taking their free kicks. All right, you know, I think we'll take our chances.
Yeah.
It's that.
There's a reason why they don't get any respect. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that later, too. But yeah, no, it's they had 49 crosses in this match. 49.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and they didn't score. That shows you how, like, essentially low percentage a cross can be as well, but the fact that they weren't able to capitalize with those many chances,
the amount of possession that they had,
right? It shows it's a double-sided thing.
Yeah.
It's their futility and also how well we bunkered in, and we showed that we could actually park the bus to great effect. Actually,
that was grade A. Prime example number 1 at parking the bus, accompanied by how not to finish.
Right, exactly.
I mean, because they only managed 3 shots on target through that whole match. How do you expect to score a goal when you only manage 3 shots on target?
Yeah.
And most of them were straight at Guzan.
It's true. But with the chances we had earlier in the game, do you think we could have put it away a little earlier?
Yeah, I think Tito had a couple times where there was the one time where I think it was Josef that played him in on goal. He was 1-on-1 with the keeper and could have, you know, rounded the keeper. He tried to chip him, is what it looked like. Yeah. Didn't come off, which is a bit frustrating because I think we all know that Tito has the skill and the composure to pull that off. It just didn't happen at that time. Yeah. And then there was the other time where he absolutely destroyed, I think it was the left back sole, where he took that one touch around him.
You actually saw his soul.
Yeah, he just he's just like, I'm done. He absolutely just wrecked him, and it was in acres of space, running down the right, had options, took a bad touch, you know, hit his foot on the turf, and then ran out of space, and nothing comes of it. But I think Atlanta, you know, it was on the break because Minnesota was playing well. Yeah. But I think Atlanta had, you know, some of the better opportunities earlier in that match to maybe put, you know, another goal on the board before, you know, LGP even got sent off.
Right. So, it was a very open game.
Yeah, it was a very open, especially at the beginning.
First 10, 15 minutes, but yeah. Then we had to bunker in. And
then it just changed. But you know what? Atlanta United got 3 points. Bitter soda can stay bitter, and I really don't care because points are on the board and they can just come and catch these hands in the bins because goodness knows it's not going to happen again for them because that last year just salt.
Right. I mean, yeah, we didn't get the big result of 6-1 like last year for our first win or anything like that, but you know, for this type of fixture this year, I think it's you know, they're a much improved team, even though. You know, they still have a lot to work on, clearly.
Yeah, well, they finally signed a DP.
Yeah, and they finally signed a DP, Darwin Quintero. Yeah, I mean, you know, that definitely is a great sign. They also got him on the cheap, I think. Yeah. They got him for around $200,000 from a Mexican club. That's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good bit of business for them. You know, their fans are making me angry, and because they're an opposing club that came in at the same time as Atlanta, I will naturally dislike them.
Sure.
But, you know, the more competitive the league is, it's better for everyone because then it pushes your players to be better. It pushes your front office to be better. Yeah. So, you know, as long as they can continue to improve and be competitive, that's good for the league. Yeah. At the same time, I hope we beat them 5-0 every single time we ever see them.
And a big part of this match was Brad Guzan, your man of the match from our player ratings video. But he had this to say about this very unique win for us. He said, "This is a big step for us. When people think of Atlanta United, they think of pretty football, and tonight we showed another side. We showed that we could compete and that we could battle." Now, like, it feels like this is kind of changing the guard a little too, because yeah, it is a different type of win for us. We've never won in this way where we had to park the bus, really bunker down, and really play like almost like in, you know, a two-legged tournament type of style where, you know, you have to really play very pragmatic.
Yeah,
so,
it was different.
Yeah, is this a a show that we should play like this a little bit more often, maybe away on the road, and not always go swashbuckling, trying to score a bunch of goals?
Well, I think there's a couple parts to that question. I think first, it's brilliant to see the fact that they can dig out a 1-0 result on the road in a tough environment. Tough because of the weather, not because it's Minnesota, because let's be honest, not really a home crowd environment.
They had 20,000, which is like
good for you. It looked
in there,
pretty empty.
Sure.
If it was here and it was that temperature, we still would have filled the place up. Sure. But that's because we're awesome. But no, I mean it was a tough result and a tough atmosphere and a tough situation where you're a man down for nearly 2/3 of the match. It's just all hands to the mast trying to defend. That is actually really good for them to have had that experience and come out on top. Because if you want to win MLS Cup, you're gonna have to do that. Right. You're gonna have to go on the road in the playoffs, conference semis, conference finals against really good teams. MLS is a very, very, very hard league to win on the road. That's why most of the time your points totals are only, mid to upper 60s. I mean, Toronto had a fantastic year with 65 or 68 last year. So they don't even win that much on the road. It's tough to win on the road. So to be able to have this in your back pocket and know, okay, if we have to park it, if we have to sit back, if we have to defend, I think, with 11 men on the pitch as well, Atlanta could be one of the most dangerous teams at doing that because of the pace they possess up top. Yeah. I mean, all you need is just a long ball over the top, as we've clearly demonstrated we can't defend. And I think that's not exactly a problem that, MLS teams are, they lack. I think all MLS teams are susceptible to that.
Sure.
So exactly. Park it, send someone who's very quick, Josef Martinez, Miguel Almiron, Ezequiel Barco, if he ever plays. Hopefully he gets fit soon because I'm ready to see him wear the shirt.
Sure.
I think that's an option. And I think it's something that Atlanta can do. And I think it's heartening to Tata to know that he can do it, even though he never wants to. Which for sure. I don't want to either, to be fair, because watching pragmatic football makes you want to pull your hair out.
For sure.
See Jose Mourinho.
Yeah. You want to watch attractive football most of the time, but there is that winning aspect of being able to get a result on the road. So there is that balance that we have to find, and
it's results or pretty play. And at the end of the day, if you win, you sometimes forget about the fact that it wasn't pretty, but we still won.
Right.
I mean, if you told me, hey, you're going to win MLS Cup, but you're going to have 19% possession, you're going to be parking the bus all the time, and you're going to win 1-0 on a breakaway goal, I'd say, great, thanks, fantastic. We won MLS Cup. Who cares? So,
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, we would love to have both. And so, I think, like your example, Toronto was able to do, pretty much that, where they played, pretty decent looking football to be able to, win their treble. So I think it's definitely possible. It's not all having to be, Jose Mourinho style. So it'll be okay. No. It'll be okay.
Please no.
But I think another big aspect of this win was, toughing the weather conditions, which was very, very hard. And Michael Parker had this to say about it. It was really tough to communicate out there. Our jaws and mouths were just frozen, so it was really tough to talk. Everybody was just trying to do their part and keep everything in front of us. I think that speaks volumes because, I mean, it's just insane what they had to deal with. Like, Guzan reportedly was the one yelling out instructions, talking to everybody the entire time. But everybody else, they had to put their hands to their mouths just to be able to, gain any bit of warmth. I mean, that's just super, super tough conditions.
Did it beat the record from last year for coldest game?
I think it was at least colder.
Well, the wind chill said 2 degrees on television. So
right. And the players definitely would attest to that. They said it was the coldest game that they had ever played. So, I mean, we weren't up there. I will believe them.
Why don't they just play in the dome? What is wrong? You have a perfectly good dome in that city.
Sure.
Just use it. There's no reason to play in those conditions.
Yeah.
Just use the dome. I get that it looked really empty, but who cares? It's not 2 degrees in the dome.
Right. Yeah, you can climate control it, exactly. But, hopefully next year we don't have to make a trip out to the tundra for that. So, I think it'll be Probably better. I mean, I think we've had to play them both home and away, at least this year and last year. But yeah, I think hopefully it changes. Hopefully it's not always the same type of fixture.
Yeah, so, I don't think the players would mind if they never had to play in that fixture at that time of year ever again. And,
right.
Man, it's April. Come on, sort yourself out, Minnesota. Why are you so cold?
Right. Or it's also this, like maybe the MLS schedulers can maybe flip it to where Atlanta visits Minnesota in the summer.
There we go. Who would have thought? Yeah. We have a dome. We use it. It's fantastic. It's the same temperature every time. It feels great.
Yeah, it's crazy. But hopefully they'll sort that out, and we'll
continue to pick up 3 points against the Loons.
That's totally fine though too, because the away fixtures have been very kind to the people coming into town. So what can you do?
Who would have thought?
And congratulations to Andrew Wheeler-Aminu for his MLS debut. What did you think of him?
I thought he did really well considering the time and the place that he got his MLS
Top
debut.
conditions.
Yeah, it was definitely the exact situation that you would want to blood a fresh face into a new league at the top level. Just, it's the coldest game ever in the history of the league. We're down a man. We're up 1-0. We need you to go in there and defend like your life depended upon it, like you never have before. Good luck. Slap him on the bum. Go get it. But, I thought he did really well. I thought he got in it immediately, clearing balls. Only really one time maybe he had that issue, and him and Miggy had a mix-up. He tried to clear it with his head, kind of missed, and Miggy had the foul on the edge of the area. But aside from that, I thought he put in a solid shift. And again, just congrats to him. It's awesome. I saw his mother in the store the other week, and I could tell just how proud she was that he was there. Yeah. So I can only imagine how happy she is to see her son finally make a debut, and how probably terrified she was for him because of the weather.
For sure.
It was like, did you wear enough clothes? But anyway, but seriously,
motherly things.
It's awesome to see those young guys making their debut, and again, big congrats. We'll see a lot of them in the future.
Right. Yeah, because he's a player that had a really great preseason, in my opinion, as well. He plays very kind of almost Carlos Carmona without the maybe steadiness in distribution.
But that can come with time.
I think so.
Playing.
Definitely, yeah. But in terms of how dogged he is in getting after players, pressing them, making tackles, clearances, he's that type of player. So he's like even quicker, maybe less disciplined version of Lorenowitz. So
I mean, we'll if that could be a natural replacement, or without having to go out and sign someone in an area we need someone, that's perfect to see a young person stepping up and being like, you know what, bump that, I've got this, and to step in and do something. That's really satisfying as a fan to see that happen out of your club.
Sure. So let's get into our injury updates from the weekend, and unfortunate suspension as well. So our suspension is, of course, LGP. For him getting the 2 yellows to get that red, he misses the next match, which is against LAFC. We also are missing Ezequiel Barco still. With his quad injury, his timetable is now just a little up in the air because he was supposed to come back for the 31st. So he hasn't trained yet this week as of Tuesday when we are recording this. And we are missing a very crucial member of our squad who also has not trained in Jeff Lorenowitz. He kind of messed up his ankle a little bit during the match, so that is a huge loss if he cannot play during the weekend. And Franco Escobar, with his concussion-like symptoms, also has not trained. And Greg Garza, with his shoulder that he landed on awkwardly, reports are he hasn't trained yet, even though he was seen around on the Instagram story of Atlanta United.
I saw that.
It's tough to say, but either way, that leaves a lot of holes in our lineup. And in our very curious news segment of the week, we have Minnesota United's Francisco Calvo, the one who scored the own goal. He was very, very salty after the match, and he had this to say. He said, "I know you're not asking me this, but I want to say this. I'm tired of how Major League Soccer gives a lot of credit to Atlanta, or expletive LAFC, sorry for the word, because it's weird how Minnesota wins and Major League Soccer goes, okay, Minnesota wins. But Atlanta wins or LAFC wins and they make it a show. I don't know why, so I think we deserve more respect in this league, all right? I'm tired of that because I think we are 23 teams in this league. So we deserve more respect in this league. That's what I want to say. Well, Francisco Calvo.
If you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching. Mr. Salty. Wow.
We won.
Yeah. We won, and the fact that, okay,
Atlanta United won, fine. In case people want to slate us for saying we. Atlanta United won. How about that? Oh, by the way, when they won, it was because you scored in your own net.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know what type of respect that you want. Do you want goal of the week? I mean...
We can vote for you if you want, because you scored, and we love winning and voting for goal of the week.
This is true. So,
we can win you something.
Yeah. But, I think it starts with, there actually being some buzz around your team. So, I think...
I mean, look, again, they signed a DP, so they're trying to get better. They're better than they were last year. They're improving. Yeah. The better they get, again, the better it is for the league. However, you're not leading the league in attendance, like Atlanta United. Yeah. You haven't broken the record for most fans ever in a game 3 times over, like Atlanta United. Right. You haven't yet made the playoffs, nor did you make them in your first year, like Atlanta United. You don't play an energetic, attacking brand of football that people love watching, like Atlanta and LAFC. So, yeah, I mean, Minnesota weren't great last year, which is why they got thumped 6-1 in their second match by United and by Atlanta. So it's like, I get where he's coming from. Yes, the league loves LAFC and Atlanta. That's because they're new, fresh faces that are changing the league and the way that the league works. Yeah. Minnesota are not doing that. Minnesota is a small market team that's following the kind of old model of MLS in a sense. It's not really putting in a lot of money. It's not trying to make a show of things. There's a reason Atlanta United got Executive of the Year, Front Office of the Year, Social Media of the Year, because they're involved in trying to make as much of it as they can. So it's more of what Atlanta United is doing and what Minnesota United is not, as opposed to what MLS thinks of everyone. So that's what I would say on our Very Curious News segment. Also, winning helps.
In our USL squad, Atlanta United drew 2-2 against Charlotte Independence, and it was a showing out for our homegrown squad as George Bello and Lagos Kunga both scored. Oh man, it was Lagos Kunga's goal was insane. He took on like 2 or 3 players, got to the byline and scored from that impossible angle.
I have no idea how that ball went in the net. Yeah. I've watched it so many times and I still have no idea how the hell he did that.
Yeah. And in the greatness of that goal, he is nominated for USL Goal of the Week. So you guys know what to do. Vote it as the winner. But, I think as this performance goes, it's a great showing on the road against a pretty established USL squad. So, for them to get a result is very, very good.
And Bello scored. He's only 16.
He's only 16. He's
Makes me feel old and useless. We do this. He's scoring goals and eventually going to be playing professional soccer. And he's really good at it.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got a lot of promise if he keeps it up.
I think we could see him in the first team by the end of the year, which is incredible. You could see a team that has 2 17-year-olds in it at the same time. Don't say we don't do youth MLS. Don't say we don't do youth.
Maybe a third with Gosselin. If I was reading who you were saying, right? But yeah, it could be a Carlton, Gosselin, and Bello. By at least hopefully the end of next year.
Yeah,
that should be.
I mean, the fact that you can see what the potential of how the squad could shape up as a homegrown squad in the future is just incredible. And remember, if they get really good and they move to say Europe, we get all the monies because MLS changes rules. Which is another reason with how the club's being run that it's awesome to see how well the academy is doing. And the academy, they had a couple of competitions with the Generation Adidas Cup. They did okay, but they're playing against really good teams. And they're beating all the teams in this area. So that says a lot about the youth in the system. And to see them all playing at the USL level already in only, the second game? Yeah. Not bad. And as we get into our odds and ends section this week, there's actually some pretty interesting and some other kind of really both sad and fantastic news at the same time. Our first one is Josef Martinez. He threw out a pretty good first pitch at the Braves game last night. So
it was dragged over as a strike.
yeah, I thought it was good. His good buddy and fellow Venezuelan Ender Inciarte was catching for him. And not just him, but quite a few of the squad went out into the game. And, it's just good to see them enjoying other professional Atlanta sports. I'm not a Braves fan, but I thought he looked pretty good in the Braves uniform. So, yeah. But the second thing that's pretty funny that we'll throw up here on the screen, it's a nice little picture of the MARTA bus blocking the view of the Georgia Dome explosion with Chris McCann at the helm, and it's missing LGP because he missed the bus and got sent off. But, literal parking of buses and those memes will never go away, and it's the first time I've seen an Atlanta United one, and it's both topical and funny. And our final thing in the odds and ends section this week, it does get a little bit serious, but unfortunately, we have a rivalry with Orlando City. But at the same time, we all share a love of football and having fun in a safe way. Unfortunately for Orlando City, one of their capos, Miguel Vasquez, passed away this past weekend after an accident, after they won a game, finally. So they were having a great time enjoying that moment. And unfortunately, he passed away in an unfortunate accident. And Atlanta United reportedly contributed the final amount that they needed to meet the GoFundMe account that had been set up in his memory. So that's amazing when we hope that it is true. But we do definitely send our condolences to Orlando City, their fans, and the family of Miguel Vasquez, because it really is a tragic thing, because no one should ever go out and support their team and not come back home. So our thoughts and prayers are with you guys, and we look forward to seeing you this coming season.
So guys, let's get into our match on the weekend. It's against LAFC, as we mentioned before. They just came from the El Tráfico LA Derby.
The first ever El Tráfico LA Derby. That was a game.
Crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, that was a wild match to watch. And you compare that to ours against Minnesota United, and it was completely polar opposite.
I'm just mad because we're not going to win goal of the week off that own goal, because Zlatan freaking Zlatan the hell out of LAFC. So it's not the first time he's done that to somebody. See England, if you haven't looked up, if you haven't seen that goal, by the way, just look up Sweden, England, Zlatan goal, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, no, it's true. But let's get into LAFC, and they have a scary front four, and that's headlined by Carlos Vela. He's
Mexican international, going to be a big name to watch for the World Cup this summer.
Scary player. Yeah, he scored twice over the weekend.
The first one was an absolute beauty as well. I mean, his left foot on that, he just a simple cut inside, drop of the shoulders, and boom. It was it.
Arjen Robben-esque.
Very much so.
But it's a team that's very, very dangerous on the attack. But I think they could be exploited defensively. And maybe, obviously when you have Zlatan, that, is skewed a little bit, but, I think on headers, they might be a little susceptible, just like we are. So, it's a very tantalizing match, on Saturday at 5 p.m. and it's one that we can't wait to get into. But, in terms of, us, like our players, we have a ton of people out. So, how we're going to line up is very, very interesting. Yeah,
it took us quite a few minutes before we even started filming this going, okay, well, if he lines up here, then he can play here. So how does he go? I have no idea what Tata and his staff are thinking about, and I have no idea who will be fit and who will not be fit for this weekend. But to go off what we know now, assuming everyone that missed training today is out, it is not the prettiest lineup to look at when it comes to the defense.
Right. So the question of it is, are we going to play 3-5-2 or are we going to play 4-2-3-1? That's really the question. I think, though, if it were, because it's at home, it's probably going to be a 3-5-2.
I think that gives the most defensive stability that you can have, even if you're missing people, because it's going to keep the most people back in theory.
It might become a 5 at the back.
It may very well be a 5-3-2.
Yeah, but those players, I think my guess is that it may be a Mikey Ambrose on the left. It might be a McCann as a left center back, Parkhurst as a central. maybe Zizo, and then Gressel as a wingback. So.
But then who do you slide in midfield next to Nagby?
Right, and that's where it's tough because
it's got to be Kratz, right?
It's got to be Kratz, or maybe a shout for Andrew Wheeler-Aminu. But I think it's the case of maybe you can bring that on later for a little bit more like defensive stoutness.
Like shut things down, maybe, or park the bus.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously the combinations could be endless, but you know, we have no idea. And also, that doesn't even include who would maybe play on the left. So, you know, who do you think?
If we played a 4-2-3-1?
No, if we played, if we played a 4-2-3-1, yeah.
I genuinely do not know. If for some reason they did line up in a 4-2-3-1,
yeah,
I want Tito on the left. I've said that before. I will keep going with it. If they play him there, I want him on the left because him cutting on that right foot is what I want to see because he can unleash those shots and it gives him that ability to do that if he's playing on the left-hand side in a 4-2-3-1.
Right.
That being said, I think the more we talked about it, the more we realized they're probably going to be sticking with the 3 at the back.
Yeah.
I think that's probably just going to be the smartest and safest strategy to move with when you're going up against a very high-octane team in LAFC.
Exactly, and I think it's also you know, the way that we've been playing. It's you know, it's been a little bit more secure with that 3 at the back. So you know, that's something probably Tata is deciding. Probably he's gonna want to go with, and I think it's more secure that way.
Yeah.
So we have to get into our predictions for the match then, because this is gonna be a tough match. What do you think the final results would be?
I'm actually incredibly pessimistic about this result. I think LAFC are going to be pretty salty about losing a 3-0 lead and getting Zlatan the way that they did. I think the injuries is a massive, massive, massive deal. Yeah. And it's to the part of the team that we can least afford to have out.
Yeah.
I think missing LGP is big, but potentially missing Lorenowitz is just absolutely massive.
Right.
You know, the potential... Escobar still being out. I'd feel a lot better if he was at right center back. Garza could be out, which leaves big questions at left back because no one really else has played there except for McCann, and he's going to have to play a left-sided center back role, which, again, isn't really a position he's played that much of to begin with.
Right.
And then you have to have someone play as your holding midfielder that does not do that all the time. So I'm not very optimistic at all. I'm going to go with a 3-2 defeat.
Ooh.
I think there's a lot of goals in it, but
that is a tough
I'm just not convinced with the defensive options that are potentially going to be on hand for United this weekend.
And I can see where you're coming from. LAFC have pretty much led or have been capable of winning their 3 away matches this season. Obviously, with the previous one, they weren't able to win it, but they've looked good on the road, so it's a possibility that they could come to our place and get a result. They went to Seattle, and they have a very loud grounds as well. This may not be.
To be fair, that was a very depleted Seattle team that had played 2 days in the CONCACAF Champions League before.
Right. And we are very depleted as well.
But we are also very depleted as well. So
yeah, this is very tough to prognosticate as well. But I go with a slightly more optimistic 3-3 draw. There will be plenty of goals still, but I think we can pull out a result. And I think having this type of result with that many people out is a good thing. So we'll go with that. 3-2, 3-3. And we're going to introduce a new segment where we get into our saves and goals of the month. Now, what's your goal of the month?
For March, for me, Miguel Almiron versus DC United. Absolute beautiful goal. Fantastic cutback from the right side from Gressel. Sweet finish into the top corner by Miguel Almiron.
Top ends.
I mean, it was actually kind of tough because the Josef header off that beautiful cross from Andrew Carlton was a fantastic goal. Mostly because he went full horizontal to head that.
Yeah.
And the ball itself was absolutely perfect.
Right.
That being said, hard to beat a screamer from outside the box. But save of the month, what do you think about that?
I think without question it has to be Brad Guzan's save this past weekend against Minnesota. It was a shot from Sam Nicholson, and it was through traffic. He had to go down to his left very, very quickly, and then it kind of was parried away a little bit, and he had to jump on top of it before an oncoming player would get it. So I think, you know, in such a crucial point of the game, and for the game to end 1-0, that's an important save, and it really kind of secured the 3 points for us. So that's got to be my save of the month.
Cannot argue with that at all. And for our question of the day this week, our next 3 fixtures are pretty damn big. We've got LAFC this weekend, followed by NYCFC, and then Zlatan and the LA Galaxy on the road. That's 3 big games with 9 big points to put up on the board, hopefully. However, our question is, what would you take as a successful point total from those 3 matches? For me, I'm happy with 4, mostly because of our injuries, and I don't know who's going to be back and when they're going to be back, and that defense just makes me nervous. So if we won a game and drew one, I get that it's not great. I'd like more. I'd be happy with 4.
Yeah. I think, you know, 4 is a very, very good shout. That probably makes a lot of sense. I think going in, I said 5. So
Winning 2 draws?
Winning 2 draws, it's possible. I think the win maybe against, you know, NYCFC, a tough team, but we've been able to beat them. So I think we can pull that one out if we have more people healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really all comes down to who's fit and when. Yeah. But just one more time for you guys, what would you take for a point total from the next 3 matches against LAFC, NYCFC, and LA Galaxy? Get down in the comments, hit us up on Twitter, and let us know what you think.
So that's it. That's the show, guys. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, smash a like, share the video for us, and for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. We'll see you guys in the next video.